There you go. Now if you were paying attention, you would have seen on the bottom right hand side a little piece of sheetrock came out. See that piece right there? And I put some caulking in there. I saved that piece. I'm going to have to push it in there again because I used some white caulking, pushed it in there. Because, you know, I tried to be as careful as I could. I hit the side of that and it whacked off that little bit of sheetrock. Okay, if something like that happens to you, try to find the piece and fix it. I'll fix that a little bit better, don't worry. And now that ring, when you have a ring like that around a light fixture area that's been pre-painted, you know, painted another time, there's a little lip edge there. So I took some caulking all the way around that outer edge, put a little caulking in there, took my flat putty knife and wiped it around there. So once that dries, when they get ready to paint it, it'll blend in way better than before. Okay, you know what? Theory has it, if I turn this light switch on, these lights will go on here, okay? Because remember, that light from the switch, a wire goes up to where that old light fixture was, and then another wire went from there over to the light fixture above the sink. Now I connected another wire from there to the ceiling fan because there's only one light switch. And when we turn the switch on from now on, I have a dimmer switch in the wall here too that I had installed previous. You see right there? I'm going to have to take that dimmer switch out and I'm going to have to put a standard light switch in there. And then when you turn that on, if you want the ceiling fan on, you just leave the pull chain on the ceiling fan. And there'll be a pull chain for the light too. Okay, let's just try this out. 3, 2, 1, boom. There, that's the first time I've tried it. Now see, it was on a dimmer. And I liked putting it on a dimmer. Anytime you have bathroom lights, and if you have a standard light fixture or a light switch, you change it to a dimmer. Then at night you can just put the dimmer on a little bit, and it doesn't have to blind your eyes. You know what I mean? When you go to the bathroom, you got to squint like, oh. Well, there's a tip for you. Change your light switch to a dimmer switch. Okay, so here's my pancake box with my wire. Now it's all about reading the directions on your ceiling fan, and every ceiling fan known to man goes up slightly different than another brand. Okay, so you've got to read your directions. If I show you on this one what to do exactly, yours is not going to be the exact same. If you want to check all about ceiling fans on my YouTube channel, on the main channel page, find playlists. Click on there, scroll down the playlist to ceiling fan. I think it's called Ceiling Fan Heaven, and I might have 50 or 60 different videos. How to install a ceiling fan, how to repair a ceiling fan, how to fix a wobbly ceiling fan, how to install a ceiling fan switch, all kinds of stuff. Okay, so you're in luck there. Go to the playlists. Okay, so I'm going to read my directions, and I'll start. See, I don't want to put that ground wire up on that screw yet because the ceiling fan is going to have some ground wires on there too, and I'll have to connect it to the existing, that ground wire up there. I got a black wire, white wire, and a ground wire up there right now. Okay, so read your directions and do it right. Now here's something I want you to note. Remember that ground screw? I've got you close up in there. There's the ground screw. Here's the copper wire for the ground. What I did is I backed the screw off a little bit and I wrapped this all the way around 360 degrees on that screw, then tighten that up. Okay, so now I'm properly attached to the metal box, and I can have this kind of pushed off to the side because you always have to look at your project and figure out everything, because see, where this bracket goes, it's gonna go right in there, and there's no way I'm gonna be able to reach that screw once I put this bracket up. right? So that's why I attach that first. Then I can look at this and see what I have to do to rearrange these wires and put this up there like that, okay? And then the other wire is going to go, the small little ground wire is going to be attached to this with a wire net, okay? That's how we're going to do that. Now see, do you see this is going to fit flush up to the ceiling? So I got to push these wires back, and there's enough room, just barely, you know, with these little pancake boxes, but there was no other way for us to do this, right? And that's why we had to notch it into the ceiling and screw it up to the joist, because this bracket had to fit up nice and tight to the ceiling. So look at your particular ceiling fan. Check it all out before you do all your rough electrical and your box and all that, so that you do it according to what you need to have done. Now I'm in the process of mounting the mounting bracket for the ceiling fan. Now see, there's a little bit of slop. I can slide it that way or that way, just a little bit. I've already determined that I wanted the center of this in the center of this box, but at this point I can snug it up like that. Then I can take my measures, my tape measure, and measure in all directions to make sure I like that location. Obviously I can't move this any other way from front to back, right? But from left to right I can. And in such a small bathroom, that's why I wanted a smallish ceiling fan, because there's a couple things I had to take into consideration. See that outside wall? There's an outside corner there. There's also this outside corner. And then there's also the side wall over there. So when I measured that, I took different measurements, and I wanted to split the difference as best I could. Now, if I had that right there, I can go off of this wall. The center looks like 30 inches. And if I go to that corner, the center is 30 inches. It's right on. Now, let's see what this is. Now see, this side is 29 inches to the center, and I couldn't have made it any closer. I mean, I could have shifted it over this way, but I couldn't have shifted over this way much because I wanted enough meat to hit my bracket and everything. And see, the ceiling fan is 42 inches, so 21 inches from the center over. And so, you know, I didn't want to get too close to this outside corner, the other outside corner over here in the wall. And so basically what I had to do here was I wanted to kind of get a happy medium, split the difference as best I could. And I think, by Joe, we did a pretty good job at that. So I'm going to clamp that down right where it's at. Now in ceiling fans, the wiring can be different if you have two light switches, one for the fan, one for the light, let's say. You just have to read your directions, but for this one here, I've got one light switch that's going to control both the fan light and also the fan, for the fan speed and the motor and all that, okay? So on your wiring, you get a white, blue, and a black, and then you also get a green. I've already installed the green on the other side to the ground wire, and they give you wire nuts usually. And so you're going to take, here's my white wire that came out of the box and the black wire. Okay, the white wire you're going to connect to the white wire over here. It's a little stranded wire, and they give you some wire nuts, so I'm going to have to cut that to length. And then for the other, I've got the black wire and the blue wire. It's kind of hard to see it, but I strip those back just a little bit, then I connect those together, so to speak. You know, just kind of twist them together. That way there's only one, like one stranded wire coming out, hooked up to the black, under a wire nut. Okay, and they give you wire nuts, so the trick is using the right size wire nuts. You don't want to get a wire nut too big or too small. So look at your directions and figure it out. I know you can do it. Now on this particular ceiling fan, the next thing that goes up is this housing. And there's 2 screws on this side, 2 screws on that side. Well, you have to take 1 screw out here, 1 screw here. And on this, it has little notches for 2 of the screws. So you leave 1 screw up on that side and 1 on the left, 1 on the right. Slip that up, and then you can see which way to twist it. And before you tighten that screw, you can put in the other 2 screws, you know, to make sure it's lined up properly, which it should be if you've got that up there tight. And then clamp her down. Ready for the next step. Now the fan blades. We've opted to have the white facing out. We've attached it to the bracket. Now see, if you wanted this other color, you could have that too if that's what you'd rather have. So that's kind of slick. They give you options. Okay, so I'm going to attach those up there, and there's some screws up there now, and they say there's some isolating pads for this one. I got to make sure to put those little rubber pads up there. So, you know, like I say, yours might be different. Read the directions step by step. I know you can do it. Oh, doesn't that look cute? Okay, now I gotta put the light bulb in, the globe in, the cover, and see those little pull chains? They give you little adapter pieces for that too. Look in your directions. Make sure you don't throw anything away before you get done with your install, because you might miss some parts. Read those directions. Okay, I haven't turned the light switch on yet. I still have the dimmer switch on. I'm going to turn the dimmer switch on and see what happens. And I haven't pulled out anything yet. So see, I've got the light on above the sink. And if I pull one of these, I don't know which one's the light and which one's the fan. Okay, that's the light. And the other one is the fan. So when you put your little deals on here, one, if you pay attention, one has a light bulb on it, and one's got the fan on it. Okay? So obviously I'm going to put the light one on this chain here. Okie dokie.